Rev up your engines!
Well, Amina says, I was driving my Lexus the other day, it's 15 years old, started overheating the highway. I shut it down and had it towed to my house. Did I do a smart thing? Well, yeah, of course you did. You don't want to ruin the engine. Here's a trick that you can do that sometimes works so you don't have to tow. If you see it starting to run in a hot, even if it's hot outside like here in June, it's read like 96 yesterday here in Houston, roll all your windows down, turn the heater on full blast, because the heater core that's inside the car is a small radiator. So it helps to dissipate heat from the engine. So if you drive down the road and you see your car starting to run too hot, if you roll the windows down, turn the heater on full blast, and it goes back to close to normal, then at least you're able to drive it somewhere, drive it home or drive it to a garage. If you do that and it still goes hot, yeah, then you want to turn it over and tow it someplace. But a lot of times by turning the heater on full blast, rolling the windows down so you don't melt, if it stays close to where it should be, you can make it somewhere. It's a trick that, you know, people have been driving for years like me know, and I've used it many times when I had old cars that started to break down so I could get somewhere because I'm too cheap to pay for a tow. Big Zane, Scotty, quick new vehicle advice. I'm looking for something that will do everything. Well, there's nothing that does everything. Everything has its pluses and minuses, just like life. You're not gonna, my wife's been trying for years to get me to clean up stuff. Hey, I still lag on that. I mean, if you got an all-wheel drive vehicle, yeah, it goes great in the snow and stuff, but then it gets crappy gas mileage because you got all that more friction in driving it. You get a big V8 engine that has a lot of power, but it's going to get worse gas mileage. You get a little bitty four-cylinder engine that doesn't have a turbo or anything on it, it'll get good gas mileage, but it might not have enough power. So you put a turbocharger on a four-cylinder engine, that's got lots of power, but then it's going to wear out faster. There's no car out there, truck, whatever, that does everything. You got to see what do you want and what you want to pay for. Then, you know, you ask a guy like me, I'm looking for a pickup truck that can pull, or I'm looking for a car that's going to last a long time and get good gas mileage. You got to figure out what your parameters are and then go for it that way. Ask Biddle, where is the fuel filter? I can't find it. Yeah, it's because it's hiding inside the gas tank. They all do that now. It's these evil swine engineers, you know. Theoretically, the most efficient place to put a fuel filter is inside the gas tank right next to the pump. Well, great. Then you got to take the gas tank apart to get to the fuel filter. When I was young, they used to put them on the bottom, because the pump wasn't in the tank, it was under there. It was outside, so it was easy to change. Or in a case of like Toyotas, under the hood, you'd open the hood and there'd be a couple of bolts, take it off, put another one on. All the evil swine engineers had decided we're going to put it in the gas tank. And of course, they were probably told to do that too, because that heads more towards planned obsolescence. So people aren't going to be changing their filters regularly because it's such a pain in the butt to get into the gas tank to change them. Some cars you got to pull the gas tank off to get to them. Then that can lead to problems down the line, and maybe you'll buy a new car or pay them a fortune to fix it. You know, there's a lot of evil involved in car design these days. Next question is Corolla fan. Scotty, 1989 Nissan van. Good engine, reliable. I'm buying off Craigslist. They say the engine's been replaced. Okay, you're called Corolla fan. Why are you buying a Nissan van? Okay vehicles, because 89 was when Nissan made their own stuff. They had nothing to do with Renault. It's an 89. You're talking about what? A 31-year-old vehicle. Hardly any 31-year-old vehicles are going to be all that reliable. And they said the engine's been replaced. Don't listen to that. Doesn't mean anything. First of all, it's probably a used engine, so it could be a 30-year-old used engine too. If you checked it out or had a mechanic check out and it seemed okay, and you really want a van, don't pay much for it. It's not worth much being that old. It just isn't. Blank Nick, Scotty, I have a pickup. Both front suspension sides are worn out. I brought it to an alignment shop, and they said they can't really align it. We can put new tires on, but it's beyond adjustment. So what should I do? When things get really worn out, the front end guys can't adjust for the wear. And unless you're willing to pay a whole bunch of money to rebuild it, and you said that it's an older vehicle, you don't want to put that kind of money into it. I did have a customer in the same situation, and she just bought new tires every year. They started to get bald, she bought new tires, and she bought cheap tires. Didn't cost all that much money. If the front end is worn, it's not a safe vehicle for doing high-speed driving or anything like that. But in the case of my customer, she just drove around town, never went over 35 miles an hour, so it wasn't that dangerous. But you can't have a car or a truck, anything with a worn-out front end, and expect to be driving on the highway 70 miles an hour and be safe. That's unsafe. Gonna drive in town, heck, do like she did. Just buy new tires whenever they go out and buy the cheaper tires because they're gonna wear out faster. But don't do it for highway speeds. That's dangerous. Zero Gravity 199 says, is a 2013 Buick LaCrosse better than a 2015 Chrysler 200C all-wheel drive? Yes, definitely. They don't make the 200s anymore. They were Italian piles of junk. Most of that stuff was Italian. They were terrible vehicles. I rented one once, and I gotta say, it got good gas mileage because they had a little bitty engine and it had that funky transmission that gets better gas mileage, but it really was, I didn't like driving it. Its response was terrible. They don't even make them anymore. And the Buick LaCrosse is a decent vehicle. You know, it's a 2013, so it's 7 years old. It's not worth much because it's a GM vehicle and their resale value is terrible. Screaming Eagle says, Scotty, I got an oil leak from my drain plug. Do I need a new washer or a new drain plug? Not really, it's just the washer. But those things are so freaking cheap. When you buy that, buy 4 or 5 extra gaskets and just make a point of every time you change the oil, put a new gasket in. Those gaskets, if you buy them in mass, cost about $1 a piece. I go to Amazon, I buy them. I got rows of them sitting in my garage for various cars, so when I change the oil in a customer's car, on my car, my wife's car, I put a new gasket on, and they never get any leaks that way. You're supposed to do that, but people are lazy, and they'll just use the old one over. They're so cheap to buy. Just buy a bunch of them, and then have them lying around. Just put them in some place where you remember, because they're easy to lose because they're so small. So what I do in my garage, it's wooden inside, I just put a nail up and then I stick them on a nail at an angle, and they're all sitting there, so I can't lose them because they're hanging up in the air on a nail. Racer, Scotty, I got a cylinder 1 and 2 misfire codes for a while, but the car ran great. Years ago, if they had a problem that was relatively, you could feel it, but it wasn't too bad, it might not have tripped any codes. It had a lot longer time frame before it would trip a code. But on modern cars, they'll trip a code when it has a problem for 100ths of a second. So, you can think that the computer feels it, but you don't. If it's a vehicle that runs okay, runs fine, seems to be okay, you can just live with it. I mean, a lot of people just live with stuff like that. You want to figure out what it is, and it didn't trip a trouble code, then you got to pay a mechanic like me rather than guess. And I have a really fancy one from this guy in Albuquerque who's a genius that I hook up to the car, drive it about a mile, full throttle, take it off, come into the shop, and I'll get readouts that would make no sense to you. All these graphs with dots in them, and by reading those graphs, you can figure out where the problem area lies. It can get really complicated. But if your car runs okay, and it's got those misfires, you can just live with it. I mean, you can take the coils off 1 and 2 and put them on 3 and 4 and put the 3 and 4 on 1 on 2, and if it goes away, you know the coils are going bad, which is the code to 3 and 4. But if it doesn't do that, then basically you could live with it. It's not really going to hurt anything if it runs okay, because the computer can see, like I say, something that lasts for 100th of a second. You don't even feel it, but the computer knows.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.